Welcome back, focused learners. Today, we're jumping right into an overview of something absolutely massive. We're talking about a blueprint for a project called Alnas. And what's wild about this? The entire vision, a plan to literally unify all human infrastructure into a single, cohesive digital civilization, is packed into a single 20-page document. Yeah, just 20 pages. So, let's unpack exactly what's inside.
All right, let's dive right in. The sheer scale of this founder's vision is honestly staggering. It's built on a pretty bold premise, that our current global infrastructure is just fundamentally fractured and unequal. So the source material proposes a build-ready, totally impartial global operating system. We're talking about a system designed to integrate every single thing in your life, from your morning schedule all the way up to international governance. It aims to serve every human, community, and nation fairly and transparently.
Here's our agenda for this explainer. First, a digital civilization blueprint. Then, everyday AI solutions, followed by the Alnas global economy. Fourth is governance and global justice. Then, the trillion-dollar valuation. And finally, handing over to humanity.
All right, starting with Section 1, a digital civilization blueprint, unifying humanity's OS. So think about your phone for a second. You've probably got, dozens of apps? Separate logins, a specific portal for your bank, another for healthcare, one for education. It's like a giant puzzle, right? And sitting way above all of that disconnected data is an entirely separate layer of global governance, like the UN. Well, Alnas proposes a radical shift, a single unified digital platform to replace all of that fragmentation. The document outlines an architecture where AI, banking, emergency systems, justice, and social coordination all live under one roof. It's literally envisioned as a complete ground-up replacement for how our world currently operates digitally and civically.
Moving on to Section 2, everyday AI solutions, the personal layer.
Okay, before we get into the massive global economy stuff, let's zoom in. How would you or I actually use this platform every day? Let's imagine a typical day. You wake up and your AI health assistant has already tweaked your AI sport training routine because it noticed you didn't sleep well. Then you check your AI schedule. This isn't just a calendar. It tracks your life duties and actually gives you a daily discipline score from 1 to 100. So yeah, maybe you lose a few points for hitting snooze. Later on, you ask AI Cooking to whip up a step-by-step recipe using exactly what's left in your fridge. And in the evening, you unwind with AI Learn, listening to a custom audio curriculum in your native language. The platform essentially surrounds you with these AI tools acting as your personal coach, doctor, and teacher all day long.
Now, you might be wondering, how does this make money? We'll take the AI Business Planner as an example. You feed the system your business idea and your budget, and boom, it generates a full business plan, complete with financial studies and a timeline. But to actually unlock that plan, share it, or pitch it on the global business market to investors, you pay a flat $4 platform fee. Just $4. When you take a simple, flat fee like that and apply it to billions of people trying to solve everyday problems around the world, you can see how this ecosystem sustains itself. It's monetizing problem-solving on a massive scale.
Up next is Section 3, the Alnas global economy, powering the world.
Let's zoom out to the macroeconomic layer. This is where we hit the project's boldest feature, a totally new, integrated global financial system. And the beating heart of this economy is the Karam Service Bond, or KSB. This is a huge concept in the blueprint. Alnas proposes this as a global currency equalizer, where 10,000 KSB represents a mandatory average monthly living expense. But here's the clever part, it's scaled to local economies. So 10,000 KSB means something very different for purchasing power in New York than it does in Mumbai. The whole goal is to guarantee a baseline standard of living worldwide. If you happen to fall below that baseline and hit a negative balance, you basically take on a built-in digital debt, but the platform immediately provides ways for you to work within the system to systematically pay it back.
So, think about how much of your current paycheck goes to taxes. Well, Alnas suggests a universal 20% deduction on all monthly income generated within its ecosystem to fund the world. But look at where that money actually goes. 10% goes right back into local and global governance. 6% goes to charity. 2% goes to integrated user banks. And here is the kicker. Only 2% goes to the Alnas Bank itself. That is incredibly low for a tech platform proposing to run global infrastructure. It doesn't look like a traditional corporate profit model. It's much more like a built-in civic tax designed to sustain an entire digital civilization.
All right, Section 4, governance and global justice, the structural layer.
You simply can't have an economy that massive without rules, right? You need a way to maintain order across a borderless digital landscape. The blueprint maps out a very strict, transparent chain of command. If you start a business on the platform, you fit into a reporting structure. It starts with local workers, moves up to district centers, then city branches, country branches, and finally a global headquarters. It's a really fascinating blend. It basically merges corporate management structures directly with civic governance. It treats a global society almost like one giant corporate org chart, where issues that can't be handled locally just escalate right up the chain.
And that escalation brings us to how digital justice works here. Any user can actually file a court case, upload evidence, and add witnesses directly in the app. Say you buy a faulty digital asset from someone in your city, the city leader judges the case. If the seller lives across the country leader steps in. But if it's an international dispute crossing borders, it instantly escalates to the global leaders. It's a framework designed to keep local issues local while giving a really seamless structural path for handling international digital justice.
Moving on to Section 5, the trillion-dollar valuation, the macro endgame.
Okay, brace yourself for the financial endgame because the numbers here are wild. The source material actually includes an internal feasibility study generated alongside an AI to estimate what this infrastructure is worth, even as a pre-product, meaning just the 20-page idea, the architecture, and the study itself. They estimate the valuation between $1.2 and $2.5 billion, but if it actually becomes the fully realized global platform, if it replaces all those fragmented banks and tech giants, the study projects a valuation between $2.4 and $4.8 trillion. Trillions! It's a number that's genuinely hard to wrap your head around.
And yet, the founder's recommended sale price sits at $12 trillion. Yes, 12 trillion. The document states this extremely confident number is based on an estimated global net profit over a 5-year period, which they project at nearly $375 billion, assuming instant global adoption and total trust from humanity.
Finally, Section 6, handing over to humanity, the ultimate buyer.
Which brings up a pretty massive dilemma. Who on earth could possibly buy a $12 trillion platform? The founder is incredibly explicit about this. Private tech companies, billionaires, sovereign wealth funds, they are out. They just aren't neutral or globally accepted enough. This system has to be handed over to an ethical steward. So the blueprint proposes something you almost never see in the tech space. It argues that only a coalition of United Nations agencies can be trusted with the keys. The UNDP for digital governance, the World Bank for financing, the WHO for health AI, and UNICEF for education. The argument is that only these entities have the moral authority to legitimately run a true digital civilization.
But how does national sovereignty fit into this? Well, Alnas has a very specific stance. The platform operates on its own independent governance to prevent outside interference, sure, but it has built-in mechanics for cooperation. Sovereign governments can appoint official representatives, and those reps can actually issue public feedback polls. Think of it like this: citizens voting directly on their phones to align with their own national laws. It makes the interaction between an AI of this scale and everyday people feel grounded and genuinely democratic.
So as we wrap up this overview explainer, we're left with a pretty profound question. The ambition of Alnas is truly unmatched, trying to replace fragmented tech, banking, and governance with one unified, AI-driven framework. But can a 20-page document really untangle all the endless complexities of human civilization? And maybe the biggest question of all, is humanity actually ready for a single digital operating system? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive today. Keep learning, stay focused, and I'll see you in the next explainer.